far. And speaking of not a bad company either, fantastic company, Ed Butowsky is with us, and of course Tracy Burns looking fantastic the day after Thanksgiving.
It's smoke and mirrors today.
It's a lot of great smoke and great mirrors. Plus Doug Schoen is here to talk about Europe with us, and of course Lauren Simonetti's been at the New York Stock Exchange all morning helping us out. Now to the company. First I want to go to Ed because this debt crisis in Europe far from over, obviously. Disappointing bond auctions in Italy and Germany, and you say stocks are still, because of that, the safest bet out there?
Well, look, things are starting to get kind of dicey. I mean, people in this country have to realize what goes on in Europe does have a dotted line back to us and to their 401ks and to their portfolios. 21% of the world's GDP is in Europe. Okay, so think about that. If Europe starts to fail, Brazil is a big trading partner, China is a big trading partner, and the United States. You start to see the European community, when those interest rates rise, everybody needs to know that's trouble, because that means those countries are at more risk. That means we're not going to have our companies trade as much in those countries.
What does that mean for investors, though? What should I be in? Should I be in all cash? Should I be in stocks? Should I run to bonds? What should I do now with this scenario?
Right. Good. Actually, first thing, don't shorten your time horizon. Investors do that, and buy big cap names that pay dividends, and don't look at your portfolio every single day because you'll go out of your mind. That's exactly what's going to happen.
This will be the central issue, though, for 2012. I mean, obviously, jobs, the war on the rich, obviously, will play a big role in this. If the American public changes the White House, if they put in a Republican, will that be the ultimate signal for D.C. to make some tough decisions?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think there needs to be what you call leadership, not only from the political community, the financial community, thought leaders, basically talking about the need to get our fiscal house in order because it's unsustainable. And unless we do it, we face financial Armageddon.
But the reality of getting our fiscal house in order means having a lower standard of living for a little while. Who can go out and sell that?
Well, a candidate who's telling the truth and suggesting the only way to get to a better standard of living is to make some painful choices.
Doug, have you ever seen the politics and Wall Street so intertwined? I mean, I can never remember a time like this.
And when I got out of school, I saw Wall Street as one world, politics as a separate world.
Right.
The 2008 crisis was a fiscal crisis. The crisis this year, I dare say, was a political crisis.
But I think you will never change it unless you change the political system, unless you change the way we run and elect our public officials. We're in a vicious cycle now.
Look, I agree with you, Tracy. The problem is we don't have the luxury of time.
But what does that mean, change the way we run?
I mean, term limits. Get them in, all we're doing is electing, and then once they're in office, they just work on re-election. So they're not going to do the right thing because it's not popular at home.
I mean, you want the Clintons to come back, so you're not really
I do. Well, Hillary is not term limited.
Okay,
but
the name is term limited, but not the person.
The spirit that Tracy's talking about led to the Tea Party. And while the Tea Party's offered some good, there's also been some bad. There's been inflexibility, and there's been extremism, and the failure to consider revenue increases as part of a balanced budget package per Bowles-Simpson is, to me, disquieting.
What's the thing that's holding it up the most? I mean, is it easy enough to say that right now? Is it just both sides have legitimate points?
It's politics, pure and simple. Everybody knows how to solve this crisis. Erskine Bowles has said, look, we know what to do. We could fashion a solution on the back of an envelope today. The politicians don't want it because they're playing for political advantage.
And right now, who do you think has that advantage?
I think the Democrats have the political advantage. However, when you look at economic conditions, people are saying this president has not succeeded. Indeed, a large percentage say he's failed.
I know it's going to be real tough to run on the numbers that this president is looking at. I know never before in history no one's won with these kind of numbers.
And that's why it's going to be a vicious negative campaign that will serve no one.
It certainly won't help the economy.
No,
Doug Schoen, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Prices may be holding steady for now, but a lot of people saying that gas prices could hit $4 a gallon by Christmas. That would take a lot of money out of holiday shopping budgets. Greg Luskowski is with us from GasBuddy.com. Greg is coming up shortly, but the company I want to ask you, Tracy, gas prices, if it go over $4, I mean, it's interesting. $3.99 people can deal with. $4 seems to be a magical number, not just economically, but psychologically, too.
Totally psychologically, because you almost feel like once you hit 4, you're kind of off to the races. Anything can happen after that. It's the unknown, right? And $4 makes a big difference when someone like me fills up 2-3 times a week sometimes because of all the driving I do. That hits you at the end of the day.
We drive everywhere where I live, and I'll tell you right now, when it gets over $4, it starts to really affect you. I mean, I filled up the other day, it was about $75 to fill up my tank, and it was just, I couldn't believe it, and literally, it changes the way I feel the rest of the day.
Even you, Ed, I mean, honestly, come on.
Right.
I mean, Ed, you have a lot of money. You're in the top 1%. I mean, a 5 cent, 10 cent difference in gasoline is going to alter your behavior?
It accumulates. I mean, it really does. I mean, does it affect me every single day? It slowly but surely. You feel the money.
What do you got, a Hummer limo? What are you driving? What?
No, I drive one of those electric cars.
Really?
No, I'm kidding. One of those hybrids, right? No. I mean, it affects everybody, but it affects clients. It affects the way we look at things. And you sit there and you see that $4, it just makes you stop for a moment and really take a break.
And it's been a little baffling because oil has been strong. I mean, we're not too far from $100, and we're kind of lucky to go into Black Friday with gasoline. I hate to say as cheap as it is, because historically it still isn't cheap.
But it's going significantly higher from here. I guarantee you oil prices are going to go higher, and we're going to see it start to affect.
What's going to drive it higher?
Demand around the world.
All right, we're going to find out.
But you also have the unsettledness in Europe, too. I mean, none of that helps oil production.
All right, well, let's ask Greg Laskowski. We do have him on from GasBuddy.com. Greg, the panel here seems to believe that gas prices are going higher. It is inevitable, and Ed just guaranteed it. Is Ed right?
Well, I think he is right. It is inevitable, but I don't necessarily agree on the timing.
Now, Congress wants to get involved in the downfall of MF Global. The Wall Street Journal says that lawmakers are planning to look into John Corzine's relationship with the ratings agencies as part of hearings into that firm's collapse. Ed, listen, obviously the ratings agencies and John Corzine very influential, but I hope they also look into his relationship with Congress and the White House while they're at it.
I mean, they should look at everything. That's what we want, because this is, it really is a disaster what happened. The timing of it, the figure, what took place here. But the bottom line to this is, it has nothing to do with the rating agencies. He made a concentrated, bad investment, and he paid the price for it. And that's really what took place.
No, but here's the thing, though. No, that's not the argument. The argument is, how could he make so many bad investments? Who provided this cover for this scandal to happen?
Well, I don't know who provided a cover. I mean, bottom line is, this is the same thing that's happened even with long-term capital. Very smart people who use leverage. The trade went against him. Now, where the problem is did he take customer funds without their permission, fully disclosing it? That is going to be the problem here. But I don't think the rating agencies have any play in this.
But I think that you make a great point, Charles, because it's not just John Corzine, really, who we should be looking at. Maybe it's the CIO, the CFO, like the people at the top who, in theory, were supposed to be in charge of what was going on over there. Well, maybe their heads should roll, too.
It just feels, it's just amazing that this could go on in the aftermath of what's happened on Wall Street. And listen, let's face it, John Corzine's raised a lot of money for President Obama. He's got power in Washington, D.C. and in Wall Street. And you wonder, did he use some of his influence to skirt
He's also got that Goldman Sachs shield about him, too, right? They seem to be impervious to getting in trouble, although who knows what's going to happen here. But they seem to be the golden children out there, don't they?
But look, the bottom line is the trade went against him. That's what took place here. Was there cover? I'm not even sure what they covered, because they did get a downgrade days beforehand. Look, December 15th, there'll be a hearing, but I think it's all going to come back to one thing. He used leverage, had a concentrated bet, and it didn't work out.
All right, well, I hope Congress looks deeply into that and also deeply into what they might have been able to do to stop this. I like the Maria Barr, the cupcake woman. I love people like that. Roll your sleeves up kind of person, getting it done.
I get the pleasure of talking to a lot of small business owners on the web show every day, and many of them say the same thing. We don't have the time to worry about what's going on in D.C. We have to pay the bills, keep the lights on, and get product out the door.
But I will tell you, people don't realize how difficult a small business owner works and how much pressure they have every single day to do everything from opening up the shop to taking care of payroll, getting inventory. I mean, this lady, think about it for a moment. She has to go out and buy flour, butter, all that stuff, and that is all rising in price. it is very difficult to be a small business owner. I respect her tremendously.
Absolutely. By the way, let's take one last check at the market here. When we come up, $84 up the Dow right now.